Vanakkam. Today, I'm going to take up FEMA series number 10, and particularly, I'm going to talk about export of goods and services under FEMA. It's a part 4 of export of goods and services with a specific reference to obligations of authorized dealer and FEMA. What are the obligations that are being mentioned under the FEMA that we are going to discuss it more today. And with a disclaimer, I want to start. The views expressed in the program are my views only. The viewers and members are requested to read the Foreign Exchange Management Act of 1999 to arrive at their views and opinion. I am not responsible for this interpretation or any clarification to anyone who is watching this program. This is only a knowledge updation program. With this, I want to start with the obligation of authorized dealer today. And the thing is, for anything, if you want to do export, you have to produce EDF to, that is EDF means the export declaration form to the authorized dealer. But authorized dealer can also give the waiver. So this you can this can be made by the authorized dealer as a waiver one on the request that he has received from the exporters. So export of freely exportable items, exporting gems and jewelry, articles of gold and precious metals, and on free of cost basis for export promotion. That is a freely exportable item. That too, the export has to be done on free of cost basis for the export promotion. But for this, they have to satisfy the condition of annual limit. So here they say that the annual limit of 2%, they have divided the transaction into 2 parts. One is export of other than the gems and jewelry, articles of gold and precious metals. For that, they say that it is 2% of the annual export realization during the preceding 3 licensing years for all exports. And the second thing, if they export gems and jewelry, articles of gold and precious metal, the annual limit for grant of waiver is 1 crore or 2% of average annual export realization during the preceding 3 financial year, whichever is lower. So for everything, they say that 2% average annual export realization is the base for the last 3 preceding year. But with reference to gems and jewelry, they added 1 crore or 2%, whichever is less. But for pharmaceutical industry, they say that if it's a health product and the annual limit shall be up to 8%. That is, this 2% is being substituted at 8% on the average annual export realization during the 3 preceding financial year for the supplies of pharmaceutical products, vaccines, and life-saving drugs to health programs of international agencies such as United Nations, WHO, World Health Organization, and government health programs. So these basic things that you should know, that's a ceiling of annual limit. And if it's a free cost of supplies, yes, you have exported the goods at free cost of supplies, and those supplies are not entitled to get the duty drawback or any other incentives. If there is no foreign exchange transactions for any export, then RBI has given the waiver. So this is a basic thing that we should know about the grant of EDF waiver for the EDF waiver annual with reference to annual limit. So how to grant EDF? That is EDF waiver. That is export declaration form. Next thing is advance receipt. Say if you exporters, when they export the goods, they say that no, you have to give the advance in advance, that is export advance in advance, so that we will be in a position to produce, otherwise we will not produce. That this is also permitted by RBI, but this has to be done with the permission of the authorized dealer. So exporter receives advance from a buyer in India, either with interest or without interest, because this export advance may fetch interest or without interest also. This advance would have been received by the exporter. Then the main condition is that the shipment has to be done within 1 year from the date of receipt of advance payment by the exporter. So this is a foremost important condition, that to receive the advance, the exporter has to ship the consignment within 1 year from the date of receipt of the advance. So this is nothing but the exporter, he has to bring the foreign exchange into the country. And the rate of interest for if the advance fetches interest, then the ROA, that is rate of interest, should not exceed London interbank offered rate, that is LIBOR plus 100 basic points. So interest should be mentioned according to that. Then all the documents with reference to the advance payment has to be routed only through the authorized dealer. That means the exporter, he has got no right to send the amount, send the documents directly to the foreign buyers. So all the documents should route through. This is a basic condition that the exporter has to follow. All the documents for payments have to be done only through the authorized dealers. And in case if the exporter is not able to complete the shipment either partly or fully within 1 year from the date of receipt of the advance, then refund should not be done after 1 year without RBI permission. So in order to have the benefit of foreign exchange or to divert the funds, what the exporters they do, they may divert the funds. So in order to avoid that, so after fulfillment, after taking the profit, if the exporter returns the foreign exchange, then the purpose of advance receipt will not be achieved. So if the shipment is not done either fully or partly within 1 year from the date of receipt of the advance, yes, it is possible you can return it, provided you have to get the RBI permission, then only you have to return it. So this is a very, very important thing that you should know. And another thing is RDA, that is authorized dealers, can allow the exporters having good track record. Suppose that exporters have got very good record, then they can allow the advance amount from the towards export. That is export advance minimum 3 years and maximum 10 years for long-term contracts of goods subject to the following conditions. That is, an exporter, normally what they said, you have to export the shipment within 2 years, within 1 year from the date of receipt of advances. If the exporter has got very good track record, then the authorized dealers can allow or may allow for a minimum period of 3 years, the maximum tenure of 10 years for long-term supply of contracts. Suppose the conditions to supply the goods, it may be for long-term. So that is also possible, but with the following conditions, that the firm should have an irrevocable supply orders on contract. That is, there should not be revocable supply. It is irrevocable supply of orders and contracts are read, and contract of overseas party or buyer to be vetted. That means the contract entered by the exporter with the overseas party has to be vetted by the authorized dealer. Contract should clearly mention, that is the export contract between the overseas buyer and the exporter. That contract should clearly mention the nature, amount, delivery of timeliness of the products over the year. So even the shipment can be extended beyond 1 year, but they say that minimum 3 years and maximum 10 years. This has to be vetted by the price dealers. So for non-performance or cancellation, penalty clause should be there in the contract. In case if the exporter is not able to fulfill the contract, or if the overseas supplier, overseas buyer, if he is not able to fulfill the contract, or if the contract is being cancelled, in that contract there is a specific clause with reference to penalty clause. So when they are vetting the document contract, they have to see this. Next one is for product pricing means, suppose in that they have to mention the product pricing. That product pricing should be on the international price equivalent. So it should not be, vary with country to country. The price should be equivalent, and the order execution capacity, system and process should be there for the company. So the company should have got the capacity to execute the order. So that should also be seen. Those entities should not come under adverse notice of ED, that is Enforcement Directorate or any such regulatory agency, or have not been caught on the caution list. So this is another thing. Those entities should not be coming under the adverse notice of ED and any such regulatory agency, say SEBI, something, then have not been in the caution list of RBI. Then advance should be adjusted against futures. So advance means immediately when any amount is received, if it is received and if it is adjusted against the goods already supplied, then that should not be treated as advance. So the advance payments received by the exporter should be adjusted only against the future exports. Here, for this rate of interest is LIBOR not to exceed LIBOR plus 200 points. And document should be routed to any document towards export should be routed only through authorized dealers. This is a very, very important thing that we must see. As an auditor, we are going there and we are doing audit. We have to see this. Next one is the AML, anti-money laundering and KYC. Know your compliance, know your customer compliance should be there. So the authorized dealer, they have to verify whether the contract entered between the exporter and the overseas buyer are subject to AML, that is anti-money laundering or KYC complaint, and yes, they have to verify, other dealer has to verify whether there's a KYC compliance or not. Next one is the export advance should not be liquidated in rupee to adjust NPA. Suppose if the advance has become NPA, then this export advance should be there to be retained only in foreign currency. It should not be liquidated and adjusted towards the loan account in Indian rupee. So till the order is being completed, the export advance remains in foreign exchange only, and it should not be converted into rupees. So it is a duty of the authorized dealer to see that double financing in the working capital should not be there. It has to be avoided by the authorized dealers. And advance received $100 million or more. And if the advance amount received by the exporter exceeded $100 million or more, immediately it is a duty of the authorized dealers to report to RBI, Mumbai, and that too with the trade division of foreign exchange department. For them, they have to inform this. And another thing with reference to advance account is authorized dealers, they can issue a bank guarantee or standby LC. But if the authorized dealer, they issue bank guarantee and the SBLC, then they should have close monitoring, which is subject to the board's policy. Board's policy, based on the board's policy, that is bank's board policy, they have to have close monitoring if the bankers have issued, that is authorized dealers have issued BG and SBLC. Because if anything goes wrong, then bankers, they are in trouble. But with the condition, what are the conditions are, and bank guarantee and SBLC issue not exceeding 2 years at a time and further renewal of 2 years. That means if any guarantee is being issued, it should be issued only for 2 years at a time and not for 3 years immediately. But after 2 years, if then the other dealer can renew it for a further period of 2 years and not beyond that. The guarantee should cover only the advance amount based on the reducing balance. Suppose if the advance amount is $1 lakh, and if the exporter has exported $20 lakhs, 20% of that, then remove the bank guarantee is applicable only for the 80% of 1 lakh. Because you can calculate bank guarantee or SBLC on the reducing balance, you can cover it. Next thing is bank guarantee and SBLC issued from India in favor of overseas buyer should not be discounted by the overseas, because this bank is issuing bank guarantee to the overseas bank, buyer. The same bank should not discount that bank guarantee and SBLC, because the banks, they are having branches at abroad. The same bank should not discount their own bank guarantee. This is a concept. This is even in the domestic market also it is that. So bank guarantee and SBLC issued by the Indian bank from India in favor of the overseas buyer can be discounted with other banks, and it should not be discounted with the same overseas branch of the same bank in India. And another thing we have to see about the receipt of advances is authorized bankers, they are allowed to purchase a foreign exchange from the market for refunding of advance payment credited to EFC account only after utilizing the entire balance held in exporters EFC account maintained at different branches or banks. So suppose the amount has come to EFC account, and they are not able to refund it. So they can, the authorized dealers can make arrangement in the open market to purchase foreign exchange, so that if any advance amount has to be returned, they can utilize it. So this is the thing with reference to advance against receipt of advance against exports. The other important highlights are manufacture and ship beyond 1 year as per export agreement. Authorized dealer allow the exporters to receive the advance monies. Suppose in the agreement they say that the manufacture and shipment it will take more than 1 year, and yes, as per the agreement it is possible. At that time, the authorized dealers, they have to take the following precautions. Are they will allow this only when the same thing is has been verified, provide subject to KYC and DD for overseas buyer to be done by the authorized. So KYC norms have to be followed, and the demand draft for the overseas buyers, if they at all they want to make the payment, then it has to be done only by the authorized dealer, not by anyone. And they have to comply with the anti-money laundering loans. Then export advance should be used only for export purpose and not for any other purpose. So we have received export advance, but you should not divert and go and invest in the real estate. So if you receive any export advance, then those advance has to be utilized only for the purpose of producing the export goods and not for any other purpose. This is the basic thing that you should know. Then authorized dealer, they can receive the amount directly from the overseas buyer on part payment basis, on progress. So first month we will receive, we will give you this amount. Second month this we will give you, but everything depends on the agreement that the overseas buyer and exporter they have entered into. Rate of interest, as usual, they said it should not exceed LIBOR plus 100 basic points with reference to this. But the maximum is in one point they say that it is 200 basic points, but here they say that it is 100 LIBOR plus 100 basic points. Now, no instance of refund or advances in the preceding 3 years. That means you can allow the manufacturer beyond 1 year, you can do it, but you can see that there is no instance of refund of advances in the preceding 3 years. So the authorized dealer, is duty of the authorized dealer to verify there is no advance payment returned in the preceding 3 years, and documents covering shipment should be routed through the same authorized. Because you have got one authorized dealer, the document should not be routed through another authorized dealers. Nowadays, it is not possible because you are not, whenever you receive the loan, you are not supposed to open the other current account in other banks. So now they say that all the documents of relating to shipment, that is export of goods, should be done by the same authorized dealers. And in case if the exporter has got the inability to make the shipment partly or fully, the refund of advance amount should not be made to the overseas buyers without RBI permission. So any amount, if the contract has not been fulfilled, either fully or partly, the advance amount should not be returned without getting RBI permission. This is a very, very important thing that without that, the authorized dealers, they will not refund. So they have to go and approach the RBI, then only after getting RBI permission, then the amount of advance can be returned. So that means it's very, very simple. You are allowed to get the advance amount and you have to do it within 1 year. If it is beyond 1 year, then the agreement should be there. And if the contract has not been fulfilled, any advance amount, if they want to return it, then they have authorized dealers, they have to get the RBI permission on the request of exporters. Then only that amount, that is the amount advance received, can be refunded. Next one is, what are the follow-up done by the authorized dealers? This is a very, very, you have done the export. What are the basic follow-up to be done by the authorized dealers? Increase in number of cases where the advance amount exceeds the prescribed period, authorized dealers follow. So normally they have entered the contract that the export order has to be fulfilled 9 months or within 1 year. But due to some other reasons, the contract period has exceeded. That is, whenever the exporter receives advance, it is clearly stated in the contract period that the transaction should be completed within 1 year. If it is exceed 1 year, then it is a duty of the authorized dealer to have the follow-up. Again, KYC and AML has to be seen by the authorized dealers, so that only bona fide export is being carried out and bona fide advance flow come into it. So the point to be seen is it is a bona fide export and bona fide advancement. So it is a duty of the authorized dealers to verify the KYC and the AML, that is anti-money laundering conditions have been fulfilled by the exporter. Then, in case if the authorized dealer has got any doubt, they can refer the matter to the enforcement directive. They can. This is also possible because I have got a doubt in the export, because whenever anyone exports the goods, then the duty drawback will come to the exporter. So it is duty of the authorized dealer to see that in case the transactions are very doubtful, if they felt that the transactions are doubtful, then they can refer the matter to the enforcement directorate. This is a very, very important thing. Normally, the exporters, they have to be very, very careful. It is the duty of the exporter to bring the money into India. Now, EDF, now this is a follow-up. Now we are going there for that is for the trade exhibition abroad. An exporter wants to conduct the wants to participate at the trade fair or exhibition abroad. What are the conditions that he has to follow? Firms and companies or other organizations, they are allowed to participate at the trade fair or exhibition abroad, but they can take or export goods for exhibition abroad and sell outside India without the approval of RBI. So one exporter, they can go and participate at the trade fair or exhibition. They can sell the goods outside India without the approval of the RBI. This is without the approval of RBI, you can do it. In case if there is any unsold goods, unsold items are there in the exhibition, because it is not possible for everyone to sell the all goods. So there will be some unsold goods. Then they can sell the same in the open market at the same country or near third country. So because if they want to carry, they have to pay huge amounts. So they want to sell the unsold goods which they have taken towards exhibition, can be sold in the open market of that country or at the third party country. That is also permitted. And in case if they sell it, say that we are not able to sell it, so okay, we will offer this much of discount. Yes, this is also possible. So discount sale of that goods are also permitted by the authorized dealers. And so in order to improve the sales, or in order to introduce the product the other abroad, gift up to the value of US dollars of 5,000 from unsold goods is permitted per exporter. Per exporter, they can make a gift of 5,000 US dollars worth of goods from the unsold list. There is the goods which they have taken towards participation in the trade fair or exhibition or abroad. And now what are the other things are, so authorized dealer bank, they have to approve EDF of that is export declaration form of export items. Yes, for this RBI permission is not required, but authorized dealer permission is required. So they can approve the EDF subject to, what are the subject to is exporter to produce relative bill of exchange for the unsold goods within 1 month of re-import into India. So they say that we are not able to sell the goods either in that country or at foreign country, we can do the re-import. So yes, that has to be clearly mentioned, the bill of exchange, bill of entry for the unsold goods within 1 month from the completion of the exhibition, and within 1 month they have to do the re-import. Then exporter, in turn, they have to report, he has to report to authorized dealer about the disposal of items as well as the repatriation of process to India. So authorized dealer, they are allowed to sell the goods outside India. So they can sell the goods, remaining goods, unsold goods, they can sell in the open market of that country or third party country. And authorized dealers, they have to report to, that is exporters, they have to report to authorized dealer, sir, we are not able to, we have disposed these items and this is the process. So this they have to report to the authorized, that is they have to bring the process from abroad to India through the authorized dealers. And transactions approved by authorized dealers are subject to internal audit, internal inspectors or auditors. So this is also another professional opportunity available to the chartered accountants. If the transaction, yes, authorized dealers say that, yes, this exporter is correct and they are approving it, then this approval is subject to audit by the internal what's that, internal inspectors and the auditors. So another thing is with reference to the goods which are subject to re-import. So EDF approval for export of goods for re-import. Now you want to re-import it. You have done the export, now you want to re-import. So on request from the exporter, the authorized dealer bank give approval to the export of goods for re-import after repairs, maintenance and testing, etc. But exporter to produce a bill of entry with 1 month from the re-import items to further. So you are given the goods for repairs, maintenance and testing. After completion of the repairs, then you have to re-import the same goods into India. But this information has to be passed on to the authorized dealers within 1 month from the date of re-import of items from the India. This is another important thing that we have to remember. And those goods are destroyed during the, so you have sent some goods and those goods have been destroyed during testing. Then authorized dealers may get a certificate by the testing agency. So because someone has to test the goods and that testing unit, they have to say that, yes, the goods have been destroyed, which they have sent towards repairs and maintenance. This certificate has to be produced by the exporter to the authorized dealers in lieu of bill of entry. So this is another thing that you have to say. So re-import is possible. You have sent some goods for repairs. Actually, you have to bring it. So after receipt in India, within 1 month, you have to report to authorized dealers. And if the goods have been destroyed, then you have to get your certificate from the testing agency that goods have been destroyed in lieu of BE. Now, re-import of unsold rough diamonds from special notified zone of customs without EDF formality. So you can re-import. You have done some export and you can, it has not been sold. So you can re-import the same thing into India without EDF formality. What are the things? Re-import of unsold rough diamonds which imported at free of cost from the SNZ, that is custom area, without entering into domestic tariff area, do not require any EDF formality. So if it is unsold and which has been imported at free of cost, no EDF formalities are required with reference to diamonds, rough diamonds. Invoice with the notional value and packing list indicating the free cost of nature of the consignment. Under no circumstances it is allowed to enter domestic tariff area. So whenever you are re-importing it, the invoice, you have to mention the invoice value at notional value and what are the packing list, everything that you have to do it. And this, they have to clearly mention that it's a free cost nature of the consignment. So that point you have to mention. And bill of entry should be filed by the borrower with authorized dealers for the satisfaction towards bona fide transaction verification. And the authorized dealer shall maintain the record. And say the very, very ultimate thing is the transaction should be a bona fide one. Because here the authorized dealers, they have to submit that this transaction is a genuine one. And for the verification of authorized dealer, they have to submit all the records, that is bill of entry, and it should be filed by the buyer with the authorized dealer. And the authorized dealers in turn, they have to maintain a special record of transaction. Now, another situation arises: setting up of office abroad and acquisition of immovable property. So, setting up of office and acquisition of immovable property outside India for overseas branch, they are doing it. So authorized dealers, now money has to go from India to abroad. So authorized dealers allow remittances towards initial expenses, higher the amount. That is higher amount of 15% of average annual sales or income or turnover during the last 2 financial years. So 15% of turnover during last financial year or 25% of the net worth of the party, whichever is less, whichever is higher, they are allowed to send the money towards setting up of office or acquisition of office or acquisition of immovable property versus bank outside India. So 15% of average sales or turnover during the last preceding year or 25% of the net worth, whichever is higher, they have to follow it. Now, what are the other things with reference to setting up of office abroad? A second point is for recurring expenses, remittances are allowed. So every time after setting the overseas office, The exporter, they have to have incur recurring expenses. For that, they say that 10% of the, in the first case, in the first case, they say that 15% of the annual sales they can remit. But towards expenditure, it is 10% of the sales or income or turnover during the last 2 years. It has to be sent for the normal business operations. That is, whether you are doing trading or non-trading, to the branches or representative office outside India, subject to the following conditions. Yes, again they are putting some condition. What are the conditions? So whenever you set up an office at overseas branch, overseas area, you have to incur some expenditure. They say that up to 10% of average sales or income or turnover, which during the last 2 years you can do it. It's average. So you have to do you have to do the calculation of getting the average turnover or average sales or income during the last 2 years. What are the conditions to be used to conduct normal business activity? So only if it is a normal business activity it is allowed, and not for any other purpose. And not to enter any contract or agreement in contravention of the act, rules or regulation made thereunder. So the business entity which has got an overseas office, they should not enter into any contract in contravention of the FEMA rules, FEMA Act rules and regulations. And another thing is not to be credited any financial liabilities or contingent liabilities for the head office or India. Suppose if the company has got some financial liability or contingent liability, there should not be any transfer in this one. So the amount should be transferred only for the purpose of using it to meet the recurring expenses. And they are not supposed to invest surplus funds at abroad without RBI permission. Yes, with RBI permission, you can go and invest. Suppose you have transferred some amount towards meeting the recurring expenses, but that's there's a surplus. But directly, without getting RBI permission, you are not supposed to invest the surplus outside India, that is abroad. And but if you got the permission from RBI, then you can do it. And surplus, if there is any surplus, because as per the norms, if there is any surplus, then that surplus fund has to be repatriated to India. And if the exporter feels that okay, no, I want to invest that, then yes, you are permitted to do it, but you have to do it with the permission of the RBI. What are the other things? All details of bank account be opened at foreign branch have to be reported to authorized dealer formally, because this exporter has got an overseas branch, so they are permitted to open the account abroad for the easy functioning of the office. So this type of account, if it is opened by the overseas office, that has to be reported to the authorized dealers for the effective control. Then authorized dealer allow the Indian company to purchase immovable property subject to the limits fixed towards initial or recurring limits. So the Indian company can also purchase the immovable property. The overseas office or branch of software exporter company firm repatriate 100% of the contract value of each offsite contract. So they earned some money. Those service oriented, that is a software exporter company, they have to repatriate all the amount of contract value to India. So this is called as offsite contract. With reference to on-site contract, say here they have to transfer the entire asset. In on-site contract, repatriate the profits to India only after the completion of the said contract. So offsite contract, you have to transfer 100%. With reference to on-site contract, you have to repatriate only the profit after the completion of the said contract. And another thing is audited yearly statement showing receipts, expenses, repatriation of off-site and on-site undertaken by the overseas office sent to the authorized dealer. So this is also another professional opportunity available to the chartered accountant, that he has to verify, the auditor has to verify and prepare the yearly statement. And in that yearly statement, it has to show receipts, expenses, and what are the amounts they have repatriated to India. Everything should be clearly mentioned with a specific breakup of off-site and on-site transactions then undertaken by the overseas office. Now, everything, all the shipping documents have to be submitted without delay. what are the procedures for this? What is the role of the authorized dealers with reference to this? The exporter is required to present the documents pertaining to the exports within 21 days from the date of export of goods to the authorized dealer. So the normal rule is you have done the export. So within 21 days, you have to give the report to the authorized dealer that we have done the export. Sometimes delay will be noticed. Then it is a duty of the authorized dealer without the RBI approval. So authorized dealer without the approval of RBI can handle the same after analyzing the reasonable cost. If the authorized dealer find that there is a reasonable cost, so the delay can be condoned by the authorized dealers and they can accept the returns, that is shipping, they can accept the shipping documents belatedly. But the normal rule is it is 21 days from the date of export, they have to inform to authorized dealers. Now, return of documents to exporters. Documents submitted by the exporters to authorized dealers for negotiation should not be returned, because this exporter has submitted all the documents that he proved that we have done the export. He has handed over all the shipping documents. Based on that, the authorized dealer, they have sent the bill for collection. Sometimes they negotiated and got the document and they sent the bill for collection. After execution of negotiation, after sending the bills for collection, those documents will not be returned to the exporter. So this is a very, very important thing. And except for rectification of errors and resubmission. Suppose if there is any error in the export document or in the for rectification, then these documents have been handed over to the exporter for rectification and they have to resubmit the same to the authorized dealer. And now it's a landlocked countries. What is landlocked countries? Hand over the negotiable copy of bill of lading to master of carrying the vessel or trade representative exporters to landlocked countries. That is, shipment is done on irrevocable LC. Strictly follow the LC terms. Sometimes it is not possible for you to enter that area, but some customers, they want to do the business with the landlocked countries, so it is permitted, but everything you have to carry only through the authorized dealer bank and not to be done by any other mode. So direct, this is another method. Now exporters, they want to dispatch the goods directly to the overseas buyers. What are the things that authorized dealer, they will take care? Normally authorized bank normally dispatch shipping documents to the overseas branches. Normally they are undertaking this, but the exporter dispatch shipping documents directly to the consignees or their agents in the country for final destination, where the advance payment made or LC full value has been received. Yes, the bank authorized dealer has received full amount towards the goods exported. In that situation, it is allowed, but on receipt of exporter who is a regular customer, authorized dealer on, suppose if the exporter says that, sir, I want to send the document directly, you have to permit me, based on the transaction that they had with the based on the transaction that had with the authorized dealer, authorized dealers can permit the same. Now, what are the other things? Now, the authorized dealer permits status holder exporters. As defined in foreign trade policy, shipping documents sent directly to the consignee outside India, terms with reference to the terms and conditions. So authorized dealers may permit status holder exporters. So that is also possible, but the exporters, they have to make permission and with the condition. What are the conditions? Export processes are repatriated through authorized dealers named in the EDF. So in the EDF export declaration form, the exporter, they have to clearly mention that this is an authorized bank and all the export processes should be repatriated or to be repatriated only through the authorized dealers. And the duplicate copy submitted by the authorized dealer for monitoring within 21 days from the export. So within 21 days, the duplicate copy has to be submitted to the authorized dealers for monitoring the same. And now, what are the other things that you have to see with reference to direct dispatch of documents by the exporter? Then authorized dealer permit the exporters to directly send the shipping documents to the consignee outside India. So if, yes, authorized dealers, they are permitting it if the export process have been fully realized except for the amount return. So there are sometimes, say, out of $1 lakh, some $10, $10 lakh, 10% would have been returned up, and all the 90% would have been received. Then if it is there, then the, say, 100 rupees, $100, $10 been returned up. So $90, the amount has already come to the exporter through the authorized dealers. At that time, they can send the shipping documents directly to the consignee. And the exporter is a regular customer of the authorized dealers. For more than 6 months, that customer should have transactions with the authorized dealers, and KYC PML compliance for the exporters should be done, should be carried out by the authorized dealers as per the RBI norms. And it is the duty of the authorized dealers to satisfy that the transactions are of bona fide nature, or bona fide transactions. And now, spot drawings are undrawn balance. What is spot drawings? What is undrawn balance? In the export invoice, small part of the amount has not been paid, that is undrawn, for adjustment towards differences in weight, quality, etc. to be ascertained after arrival, and inspection has to be done on goods. Authorized dealers may negotiate those bills provided. Suppose if I exported goods worth about say $1 lakh, and there are some weightage loss or some quality difference will be there. So the payment will be done based on, say, at 2% they will reduce. But after verification, the authorized dealers, they have to do the bills, they have to do the negotiation of the bills, provided undrawn balance is considered up to the maximum of 10% of the full export value. So that means if it is more than that, then those negotiations will not be done by the authorized dealer. So undrawn balance, what is undrawn balance? Small amount has not been paid. So that is called as undrawn balance, and it should not exceed 10% of the full export value. And undertaking on the duplicate EDF to surrender the balance process on various. So the duplicate EDF, that is export declaration form, there should be an undertaking to be given by the exporter. In case if the balance process have been realized, they can surrender the same to the authorized dealers. And they are not able to arrange for repatriation with reference to undrawn balance. Authorized dealer has to see that at least a bill drawn initially or 90% of the value declared from the EDF, whichever is more, realized or for a period of 1 year has elapsed from the date of shipment. So if it is a duty of the authorized to see that at least what is the original bill, that amount has to come, or 90% of the value declared in the EDF, that should come, and whichever is higher, and this should be realized within 1 year, and a period of 1 year has elapsed. That means it has exceeded 1 year from the date of shipment. This is also allowed. Now we are moving to consignment exports. You know the principle of consignment exports, and what are the important things that you have to see from the authorized dealers. That now your one exporter has exported goods on consignment basis. Then authorized dealer has to forward the shipping documents to the authorized dealer. They have to ship the documents to the overseas branches correspondent to deliver only after the trust receipt, against the trust receipt, or undertaking to deliver the sale process by a specified date after the export bill. Yes, you have done the goods on export basis. That is on consignment basis, you have done the export. Yes, authorized dealer, they will forward all the bills to the overseas bank, which overseas branch or correspondent. And they give the instruction that the bill, that is bill will be delivered only after the trust receipt, or yes, undertaking to deliver the goods sale process by this within specified date. That means within the specified date that export process should be realized. Based on that, they can deliver the goods. Next one is agents or consignee deduct from the sale process of the goods expenses, sale process minus landing charges, warehouse rent, handling charges, and remit the net process. Normally, with reference to consignment transactions, the consignee, they have to incur some cost. Those costs will be deducted from the goods exported from. So this is a normal thing. It is allowed. And the account sales statement of the consignee has to be verified by the authorized dealers with evidence. So it is a duty of the author consignee that he has to verify all the bills, all the statement, account sales statement. Now only after satisfaction, then he will allow it. That authorized dealer, they will permit to deduct and everything. They have to satisfy that this is a bona fide transaction. And goods are exported on consignment basis, freight and marine insurance must be arranged in India. Suppose if anyone is sending goods from India to abroad, all the insurance, all the marine insurance, all the freight charges have to be paid in Indian rupee. Because if it has been paid in forex, that is foreign exchange, then it's a loss to the country. So they say that the expenses towards freight and marine insurance, it should be arranged in India and paid in India. And books related to unrelated goods can be abandoned as allowed by the authorized dealer. Suppose you have sold the goods on consignment basis and still there are stocks on that, they are not able to sell it. Okay, those goods can be abandoned by the authorized dealer. So to that extent, it is allowed. So as a basic concept with reference to consignee export is total receipts minus expenses done at abroad. And if marine insurance have been paid, have to be paid, then that has to be paid only in Indian rupee and not to be deducted at the other end. So now opening or hiring of warehouses abroad. Okay, you are sending the goods from India to abroad, but at the same time you are not able to do it. So what you will do, you can hire a warehouse and you can even open a warehouse on your name. Applicants' export outstanding should not exceed 5% of the exports during the previous year. So the outstanding, that means 95% of exports should have been realized, and applicants' minimum turnover is $1 lakh during the last financial. Then only they are permitted to open warehouse abroad, either on own or on the hiring basis. So the period of realization should be clearly mentioned, because whenever you do the export and the repatriation amount is must on, so you have to clearly mention that what is the period of realization with reference to amount to be repatriated in India. The transaction should route through the authorized dealers designated branches. So any transaction, only it has to be done through the authorized dealers. And permission for warehouse can be granted to authorized dealer bank for 1 year, subject to the renewal on the contract of the bank. Okay, an exporter is permitted to open warehouse abroad, and the permission will be granted by the authorized dealer for a period of 1 year. And if at all you want to renew it, then only based on the satisfaction, the authorized dealers can renew the same. And proper records of approval has to be maintained by the authorized dealer. So the authorized dealers, before granting the permission to open the warehouse, they have to clearly mention the records. Everything, all records, the authorized dealers, they have to mention it. This is with reference to opening of warehouses abroad. Now we are going to export bill register. What is export bill register? What are the things that they are doing? Authorized dealer bank should maintain export bill register in physical or electronic form. What is the export bill? The register has to be maintained by the authorized dealer, either in both in physical form as well as in electronic form. The same should be aligned with the export data processing and monitor system. There, it has to be clearly mentioned, and it has to be informed to EDPMS, that is Export Data Processing and Monitoring System, and bill number allotted for financial year basis. So every year you have to, there is authority, they have to allot bill number in the EBR, that is Export Bill Register. And fourth one is the same should be reported to EDPMS, that is Export Data Processing and Monitoring System. So that means export bill register has to be maintained by the authorized dealer, either in physical mode or electronic mode, and the number should be allotted on financial year basis. Now you are send bills. You are send the bills. Sometimes those bills are outstanding. They are, but those bills have not been realized on the due date as mentioned in the bill or as per the due date mentioned by the RBI. Now, what are the things that authorized dealer he has to do it? Authorized dealer should closely watch the outstanding of the export amount. So they have to every month they have to do it. See, lot of frauds are there because Hawala transactions are taking place. So it is a duty of the authorized dealers to closely watch the export amount. And the bill remains outstanding beyond the due date for payment from exporter. Exporter will be followed up closely by authorized dealer. So suppose up to this COVID situation, it is 15 months, and if the goods have been supplied to the warehouse, again the amount export process have to be realized within 15 months from the date of export. And if the payment, the outstanding amount has not come on the period excess, then that has to be closely monitored by authorized dealers, because sometimes a lot of manipulation will be taken place. So it is the responsibility, it is the duty of the authorized dealers to have the close monitoring of the overdue goods. If the exporter is not able to realize the process beyond the due date, the same will be reported to the regional office of RBI. The exporter says, no, sir, it's not possible for me to recover the amount within the due date. So it will definitely go beyond the date, and this has to be informed to the authorized dealer, and the authorized dealer in turn, they will report the same to the regional office of the RBI. Till the export process are realized, the duplicate copy of the EDF or Softex form will be retained by the authorized dealer bank. So EDF and export Softex will not be returned to the exporter till the export process are realized, and everything will be under the control of the authorized dealer. An action against defaulting exporters should be initiated without delay. Suppose if anything goes wrong, it is the duty of the authorized dealer. They have to initiate the penalty procedure, defaulting provisions. They have to implement the defaulting provisions against the exporters. Any laxity in the follow-up or realization of export process by the authorized dealer bank will be viewed seriously by RBI, leading to penal provisions and FEMA. So, if the exporter has committed anything, then authorized dealers he will initiate the action against the defaulting exporters. In case if it is not properly followed up by the authorized dealer, if there is any laxity in the follow-up, then the Reserve Bank will levy penalty on the RBI, on the bank, on the authorized dealer banks, subject to RBI, subject to the provisions of FEMA. So penalty provisions are there, and reduction in invoice value. Suppose for the prepayment of advance bill. Suppose in case of 3 months, if the party has paid the amount within 2 months, then what are the things that one has to take the follow? And prepayment by the overseas buyers of services. So it is permitted. Instead of 3 months, if the overseas buyer, if they make the payment within 2 months, so to the extent of 1 month interest, they will reduce. And the exporter, instead of interest, they say that, okay, you remit within 2 months, so we will give you the discount. That is also permitted. But this discount should be approved by the authorized dealer to allow the discount to the extent of amount of proportionate interest. So that's why I said to the extent of proportionate interest, they can give the waiver as discount. It is not directly they are saying it as interest, it is a discount. So based on the interest applicable for the loan or prime rate or LIBOR of the currency of invoices, the same case is not mentioned in the invoice. In case if it is not clearly mentioned, then interest applicable for the loan will be charged as a discount. So this is also feasible. This is also feasible in case the bills have been paid in advance. Now the situation is different. Reduction of invoice value in other cases. What are the other cases where the invoice value have been reduced? Invoice value has been reduced. Bills have been negotiated or sent for collection based on the genuineness of the transaction. The exporters want to reduce the invoice value. The same can be approved by the authorizer. Yes, you are sent one bill and the value can be reduced, but you have to get the authorized dealer permission. Then only that will be reduced. But that reduction should not exceed the 25% of invoice value. If the invoice is $100, then you can reduce only up to 25. That is 75% you can get the same. And does not relate to export of commodities subject to floor price stipulations. and exporter is not in the exporter caution list of RBI. So he should not be in the caution list of RBI. So in RBI, there is a caution list of exporters. This is a thing we have to know it. And the exporter has to surrender the proportionate incentives available. See, whenever you do the export, duty drawback will come. Suppose in case if you reduce the invoice value to the extent of reduction, say 25%, to the extent of 25%, the duty drawback which the exporter has received, that has to be returned to the government. And what are the other things? Exporters in business should be for more than 3 years and should have a good track record. So any exporter, if they want to get a benefit from authorization, their transaction should be genuine. It's a bona fide transaction. The exporter should have what a good track record and a reduction in invoice value without percentage. And if the authorized dealer say that he is doing export for more than 3 years and he has got a very good track record, that 25% is not applicable. So authorized dealers can allow the exporter to reduce the invoice value, but the no outstanding for more than 5% of the average annual term of export realization during the period. No outstanding for more than, that is the exporter advance, which they are going to give to reduce the value, should not exceed the 5% of the average annual export realization during the 3 preceding years. Export countries facing externalization problems, percentage of export bill outstanding period is ignored, provided the payments have been made by the buyers in the local currency. Suppose if there is any externalization problem, then the export bills, this bill can be reduced, but the payment can also be made in the local currency. This is the only case wherein instead of foreign exchange, there is FEMA, under FEMA, one can get the amount in the local currency. Now, you have done the export to Mr. X. Mr. X is not honoring the bill, or Mr. X is not cooperating. Yes, they can change over. They can change. That is, the exporter can change the name of the buyer or name of the consignee, a person of the buyer, person of consignee. But provided authorized dealers, they have to approve it. They have to approve it. But for this name change, prior approval of RBI is not required. The goods have already been shipped due to default of payment by the original buyer. So original buyer, he said, I am not able to, I will not make the payment. Then this exporter, he has to realize the fund. So he will transfer the goods to other person other than the original buyer. So they can reduce the value, provided that should not be less than 25% of the realization export value should be done within 9 months from the date of export. So very, very simple, sir. One person has exported, then that export buyer, that is overseas buyer, is not ready to make the payment. Then this exporter can ship the goods to someone, and you can sometimes they can say that they will ship the goods with a discount of up to 25% on realization. And after this transfer, that realization should come to India within 9 months from the date of export. That is up to 9 months it is allowed. Now export of goods by SEZ, that is units in SEZ are permitted to undertake job work abroad and export goods from that country subject to the condition that the processing and manufacturing changes are suitably loaded in export. That is, it should be loaded in the export price and are to be borne by the ultimate buyer. So you are dying, so some job work is being added, so the invoice should be loaded. And the exporter to realize full export value. So whatever value they have exported, the process, it has to come to India. And authorized dealers permit the units in domestic tariff area to purchase foreign exchange for making payment for goods supplied to them by units in SEZ. That is also the duty of authorized dealer. They can permit to purchase the foreign currency. And now the exporter can make a request, sir, I want to extend the time of realization. That is also permitted. But RBI permitted authorized dealer to extend the period of realization beyond the stipulated period from the date of export up to a period of 6 months at a time, irrespective of the invoice value. So extension can be done within the, that is, suppose if it is within 9 months, the process, it has to come to India. So the authorized dealers can extend up to 6 months from the date of export, from the date of export, and this extension can be done only once. It's a rule stated by RBI. those export transactions are not subject to CBI or enforcement direct investigation. This is the first thing. And if there is any objection, any cases are going on with CBI, no extension will be permitted by the authorized dealers. And authorized dealers has to satisfy that the exporters have not been able to realize their funds for reasons beyond his control. One can say that in Sri Lanka, we'll say in Sri Lanka, there are a lot of problems. They are not able to realize the amount. And sometimes they can say that due to this COVID situation, there is no flight, goods have already gone. And only when the borrower, only when the exporter has to go to Sri Lanka, then only they will be able to realize the fund. So these are the reasonable costs. If that is there, then authorized dealer can extend the goods, and declaration has to be submitted by the exporter that the export process will be realized during the extended period. Suppose if they say that within 6 months, I am capable of receiving the export process, then based on the declaration, then the extension of time will be given by the authorized dealers. And other points are extension beyond 1 year. Yeah, beyond 1 year also, if it exceeded, total outstanding should not exceed $1 million or 10% of the average export realization during the preceding 3 financial years, whichever is higher. And the exporter filed suits abroad against the buyer because they say that they are not made the payment. The exporter, they filed the case against the buyer at abroad. Then extension may be granted irrespective of the amount involved or commission. Because the exporter, he has taken precautions to bring the money into India. So in case if any suit has been filed against the buyer, then the extension may be allowed. So here also they are playing a lot of things because just for to get the extension, few exporters they adopt this loophole. They are filing the case abroad. Then cases not covered above. So for the cases not covered above, then RBI permission is required because authorized dealers got no right to extend, but they have to get the permission from RBI. Then reporting should be done in EDMPS, that is export data processing and monitoring. So this is a bill we have extended beyond 1 year. These are the reasons. So everything they have to be clearly reported in EDMPS. This is the thing for extension of time. Now goods have been lost in transit. You have sent the goods, exporters have sent the goods, goods have been lost in transit. What are the important things that the exporter has to see is payment not received for bill sent for collection, shipment lost in transit, then authorized dealer can claim the insurance immediately when the loss is known. Because whenever they are transferring goods abroad, that's a claim. In case the goods have been lost, it is a duty of the authorized dealers to claim the insurance immediately. And the claim, if it is payable abroad, then it is a duty of the authorized dealers to arrange to collect the claim through his overseas branch, and after collection only duplicate copy of the EDF will be released. So EDF means is a bank is holding the ownership. So if at all anyone wants to go and file the case, the EDF is the base. And if at all anyone wants to, if the authorized dealer wants to send the goods for collection, EDF is the base. So if any claim has been received abroad, then the same can be collected by the overseas branch. Then certificate for the amount of claim received should be furnished on the reverse of the duplicate copy of this. Yes, this amount we have claimed, and the same has to be clearly mentioned in the EDF. And after that, the ADF, that is authorized dealer bank, they have to repatriate the funds and claim the amount and credit to the exporter's account if the claim amount to be India by the exporter if it is received by the exporters. Authorized dealer bank to repatriate the claim amount to India by the exporters if it is received by the amount. So suppose if the amount has been received by the exporter, the claim amount has been received by the exporter, the same amount has to be repatriated to India. And now export claim. What's the export claim? Authorized dealers may remit export claims on application. Relative process have already been realized and repatriated by the exporter to India, and the exporter is not in the commercial list. Next thing is exporter is asked to surrender the proportionate export incentive because it's a claim. He has received the duty drawback. So to that extent of claim, to the extent of because they have surrendered they have closed the they made the claim. So the incentive which he has received, that has to be returned to the government. This is what I want to say about the part 4 of the export of goods and services under FEMA. And I'm very, very happy that you have watched the program very, very interestingly. And I will meet you and the other part of the FEMA series. Then till that time, I thank you very much. Vanakkam, Nandri.